Well, good evening. How are we all today? Some great chats and comments going on there on the side. Great to see. Miss Jackie Spathonis just coming into the business, getting into the webinar. A great roll up tonight. It's great to see we get so many people here right from the get-go. Tonight we have a lot of information to get through. So before I start, I just want to mention that a lot of it is focused on China. And that's because China has such a big impact on us here in Australia. In 2008, during the financial crisis, there was a huge buffer for Australia. We did not have to deal with the meltdown that they had in America. We were insulated from the GFC because of China. The information that's coming out now from China and lots of other places is disconcerting for those of us here in Australia who thought we would have China as a buffer. When we go through this tonight, I want to say ahead of time, I have nothing against the Chinese people, but what we're seeing that the Chinese Communist Party is doing in various places is disturbing, and that has a massive impact on us here in Australia and on those of us that are here tonight with a gold business. Let's get into it. 3rd of August today. Here's our usual disclaimer. This is our opinion only. It's not company policy. We don't speak for the company. We do not represent the company. We don't give financial advice. Obviously, if we did represent the company, it would be a perfect business and we'd all be blissfully happy.
Hi there. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are in this beautiful world of ours. We, the team at Gold Rocks, are here to show you how to become a gold saver, which has far better return than traditional savings methods. Let us show you why you should get started today. When you begin saving, you typically have a goal in mind, whether it be buying a house, paying off debt, starting a business, saving for studies, travel, or maybe retirement. We've always been told to work hard and save money. The majority of us have only had the following options: maybe holding your cash in an envelope or piggy bank, opening a cash savings account to earn interest, or apply for a loan, but that means debt, and that's something none of us want to get into. Unfortunately, many people don't understand what saving money in the traditional method really means. Cash loses an average of 2% per year through inflation. That means that if you saved $100 today, it would have the buying power of $90 in 5 years' time. So then what if you put it into a savings account? The average interest rate across the banking system in Australia and New Zealand is now less than 1% per year. So that $100 would have the buying power of less than $95 in 5 years' time. A little better than the cash in an envelope, but you are definitely losing money. Question: what do they do that you don't do yet? Governments, wealthy, and banks, what do they do? Simple. They save gold. Robert Kiyosaki, who we all know as the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant, says gold is God's money. JP Morgan, one of the most powerful bankers of his era, whose company JP Morgan Chase still exists today, said gold is money and everything else is credit. And Alan Greenspan, the former head of the Federal Reserve, arguably the most powerful financial institution in the world, says gold is always accepted. And they are just a few examples amongst many others. So why gold? Gold gains an average of 20% per year. So what if you put $100 into gold? In 5 years' time, it would be worth at least $200. Would you rather $95 from your traditional savings account or $200 from your gold savings account? As the value of cash falls, gold rises. Why choose our gold? And why save with us? Our gold savings account is free to open and has no monthly fees. Our source is the global leader of small increment weights from 0.1 of a gram. And at the time of recording this, 0.1 of a gram was about $10 to $11 Australian. This makes gold accessible to all levels of income. No matter who you are, what you earn, you can now do what was once only available to those with wealth. And helping all people get ahead is something our team at Gold Rocks is passionate about. Our gold is 999.9% gold bullion purity. It has state-of-the-art security against counterfeiting, and our source provides free storage until you choose to have your gold delivered to you. Getting started is as easy as getting back to the person who shared this video with you, registering your free gold savings account, and starting to save your money in gold today. We encourage you to do your own research into all the information we have shown you, and we look forward to helping you save your future in gold with the team at Gold Rocks. Be blessed.
Gold is what we're talking about. And this picture was taken, I think, slightly over 3 weeks ago. And you can see the stack of dollar bills on the left that will buy the gold coin. And that's the gold coin we're talking about. In 1933, it was $20.67. And that picture on the left is miserably out of date because today it's $1,979. Now, you tell me how there's any business in the world that operates like that. That's just unbelievable growth. But when we go through some more slides, you'll understand a little bit about why people are clambering for gold at the moment. So what you need to do is become a gold earner, because if you're getting paid in gold, you're taking advantage of all of those price increases without the cost of that gold. And yes, while saying it's 999.9, that's correct. It's a standard. It's not a percentage. We'll get that fixed on the next recording, Wal. And that does make it 99.99% pure. So gold is a store of value. And if you look at every one of these currencies on this screen, that's where our fiat money ends up, in the dumpster. There is no fiat currency in the world that has survived the conversion away from the gold standard. Not one anywhere in the world. There's been a whole lot of currencies come and go. Gold has survived. Now, let's get in among this and see why it continues to remain stable for all those years. So here's how you can earn gold. The savings options, classic gold, it's our legacy gold. It's long-term, 1, 2.5 or 5. It's completely free storage, and there's 3% discount. If you don't know how to get the discount, make sure that you get in touch with someone building in your line of sponsorship and get a card to do that. But ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress enough, you need to be saving gold. So you can also do cash gold. It's our digital gold. It's similar to fiat, but it's gold. It's transferable between Karatpay accounts, and you can swap it into the new V999 coin and spend it just like cash. Simply save some gold yourself and share that with a number of people, and you all of a sudden get hooked up with the loyalty bonus. And you can get up to 25 grams of classic gold per month. At the moment, that'll be over $3,000 a month of gold, free gold. kicked in because you've done something and spoken to some people. Now, next one. If you've got a bunch of people and they're buying gold, you get kicked into the Uni-Level bonus structure. So the Uni-Level bonus is calculated specifically off the classic gold that goes through your team. That's it. Really simple way to talk about it. I've heard people tell me that Karatbars has got complicated. It did for a while. It's really, really settling out to the original business. We got gold, baby. Don't worry about anything else. Focus on the gold. And the third thing is, if you've got people buying gold, you're going to end up in the long-term bonus. And it doesn't matter what you do. If they just keep buying gold, sooner or later, you're going to hit every one of those levels, every single one of them. And there's people in our teams doing this now. So make sure that you understand that there are ways that you can earn money, lots of ways, just by sharing the gold business. So what other company has a referral plan that compensates you in gold bullion? And as we go through this, you're going to understand why that's so very, very important. So make sure you're saving at least 1 gram a month. Make sure you share the value of the gold with others and teach them how to start saving in gold. That's it. That's all you've got to do. It's as simple as that. So what's next? Set up a free account as a customer or as an affiliate. Now, if you're on this call wondering how to do that, I suggest you go to the goldrocks.me website, register as a member there. It will give you a link that you can remember. It's really difficult to remember when you're trying to tell someone how to go to your website and register. Get a Gold Rocks link, really easy. If you're a customer, you pay for gold at the full price. If you're an affiliate, you get a cheaper price, opens up other income streams. There's a lot more products available, and you can trade gold and crypto if you choose to. Now, all of that on the affiliate side brings me to the wealth principles that we've come to understand and believe in. Number 1 is pay yourself first. Number 2 is establish a residual income. Number 3, limit your tax exposure. And number 4, stay ahead of inflation. If you can do those 4 things, and this business gives you the tools to do that, if you can do those 4 things, you will be successful in your life. Make sure that you give it a good shot. So, is this what we're all working towards? There's a new little slant on how this business works. Make sure you understand it, because this is what I'm looking for. I don't care what anyone else is doing it for. This is what I'm doing it for. You might need some help to hit that target. So when you go out hunting, you could use a shooting stick. Now that's okay, except use this way, it sways side to side. And you might get close to the target, but you might never hit it. So let's think about what happens when you spread it out into a tripod. When you do that, it becomes rock solid. And I'm going to say it becomes gold rock solid. That gives you an edge in getting an accurate view of the target. Now, it works just like this. When you set up the tripod and make it stable, the first leg is physical gold. The second leg is digital gold. And the third leg, well, that's our trading platform. Some of you are going to say, well, where's the KBC? That's all right. The KBC and the KBC replacement are the oil that makes all that come together. Those are the 3 platforms that actually create your wealth. Now, make sure that you understand the 2 key components in our business today: physical gold and digital gold. And the trading platform can link them all together and generate cash flow for you. This is the result. When you use all three of them to generate a stable platform, you can hunt for your freedom diligently and aim carefully. That's what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. Work out what exactly it is we're trying to do. Come back to these three basic building blocks and go for it. I'm very happy with the new direction. I'm not necessarily so happy about how they've gone about getting there, but I'm really happy that we've now come back to two key components: digital gold, physical gold, and a trading platform that lets us generate cash flow from our existing assets. Tonight, we're again sponsored by Easy Shopping Cards. If you're not accruing gold from your grocery shopping or your BWS shopping, Brent, or your buying cleaner for the car, you're doing something wrong. Make sure that you get to this point. And here's some other merchants that you can probably negotiate some gold back for. I know that Loveday Vehicle Lubricants have had to organise some gold payouts for people buying oil in the last couple of weeks. Skippy Pest Control does a wonderful job of squashing ants with his little hammer. He's a bit slow though when he gets down on his hands and knees. BJS Urban down in Adelaide, and ComChoice. Get your phone network sorted and get gold back. Why wouldn't you do that? Here's our tagline, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone goes forward together. We're not leaving anybody behind. If there's a part of this business that you don't understand, set some time aside. Set up a meeting. I don't care if it's a Zoom meeting. Get your head around the three basic building blocks. The two key ones are physical gold, digital gold. That's it. Physical gold, digital gold, and a trading platform. Focus on that. That's the key to our success, and you're going to see why from here on. Now, let me reiterate again. Don't think I'm picking on the Chinese people. What has occurred in the last few weeks around the world has shed a very, very bad light on the Chinese Communist Party, and that is being dealt with in China as well as externally. So let's look at some numbers. Economic and fiscal update from the Australian government. Wasn't that fantastic the other day? The official unemployment rate could be more than double what's been reported. And the guys that worked that out were Roy Morgan Research. They reckon the unemployment rate right now is 14.8% and getting worse. But our government is trying to tell us it's 6.2%. Did I mention the Chinese Communist Party? I don't think they're involved here, but it's a government. Let's just print a whole bunch of money and no one will notice. That's how we'll fix it. Here's another really interesting slant on why that unemployment rate is not going to improve anytime soon. This business, ShopRite, they sell food. Now you can go into their business and you can get Sally, the robot, to make you a salad so that you have a contactless alternative. No human intervention. You can tell it the recipe of what you want in the saddle, well, there's Freudian slip, in the salad, and it will whip it up and give it to you. No human intervention. All that happens is they load it a couple of times during the day. No jobs involved in cutting up tomatoes or lettuce or carrots. It's all done in that machine. Lots and lots and lots of jobs that have been lost in the last few months will never return. They are being automated and robotized. Not sure if that's actually a word, but we'll go with it anyway. Let's just print a bunch of money. No one will ever notice, but it'll fix the problem maybe for a short while. Now, here's something that I found our government does really well, and this is our government, not the Chinese government. How about some disturbing news? Australian warships have encountered China's Navy in the disputed South China Sea at a time of heightened diplomatic tensions between the two countries. Did anyone know that we had 5 warships in the South China Sea with the US fleet? HMAS Canberra, Hobart, Stewart, Arunta and Sirius transited the South China Sea independently from the 14th to the 18th of July, including the area near the Spratly Islands. Now, if you've ever bothered to actually go and have a look at a map and see where the Spratly Islands are, they're just off the coast of the Philippines. But China is trying to claim them as Chinese territory. So there's a whole lot of argy-bargy going on over here. Now, here's the bit I want you to get your head around. All interactions with foreign warships throughout the deployment were conducted in a safe and professional manner. These would be unplanned interactions. Now, I'm not sure, but last time I checked, soldiers, sailors and airmen in the employ of their government had trained to shoot at people or things. If they're professionals, aren't they really good at that? I'm glad they're doing it in a safe and professional manner so nobody gets hurt with these unplanned interactions. This is very disturbing. Let's see a bit more. Why is that a problem? It's been a while since the USA and Australia started shooting at somebody else together. Let's just keep going. China is in a very, very, very bad place at the moment. The major Chinese banks have successfully begun to lock down their gold bullion reserves and prevent ordinary people from buying gold and precious metals. They're also, when they find a building in Beijing that has someone living in it with COVID-19, they weld all the doors shut so nobody can get out. Too bad if you need food, water, or medical attention. You are locked in, cannot get out. That sounds like a really sensible thing to do if someone has a medical problem. Let's have a look at this bit.
Chinese authorities are tightening control over private passports. A recent order has invalidated all privately held passports of regime-related staff in Wuhan. Netizens suspect the ban is to lock potential future whistleblowers inside China.
Wuhan's Public Security Bureau recently issued a notice ordering certain citizens to surrender their passports or declare their passports invalid. If they do neither, their passports will be cancelled. These people include staff from state organs, state-controlled companies, and institutions. The order will take effect on August 1st. But Wuhan is not the only area imposing the move. A regime clerk from the Xinjiang region told Radio Free Asia that all Chinese officials are prohibited from having their own passports. People from other provinces also reported that their passport applications were rejected. Authorities have stopped processing applications, either because of the pandemic or due to claims that other countries are too dangerous to travel to. On June 20th, China's Ministry of Justice enacted a law to punish government officials for any wrongdoings they commit. Included on the list of punishable offenses, Article 31 mentions leaving China or processing exit border documentation without permission. The law says doing so can lead to the loss of one's job or title. A Chinese economist shared the Wuhan notice on Twitter, writing, "It'll be too late if you don't leave China now." Another user commented that the order is to prevent the emergence of a second Yan Limeng. They're referring to the Chinese virologist and whistleblower who fled to the US in order to reveal the inside story of the Chinese Communist Party's cover-up of the virus.
Now, doesn't that sound just a little bit like a government that's got a touch out of control? Seizing or cancelling passports so no one that knows a little bit about what's going on can leave the country is a little bit over the top. I'm not quite sure where they think that's going to win them any friends. That's not nearly as bad as this next bit. It's a bit long, but listen to his summary at the end.
And in other news, moving back to China, Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese Communist Party, may have sent a veiled message by making a visit to the Xiping Battle Memorial Hall. Now, Xi visited this memorial hall on July 22nd to pay tribute to the decisive battle in Xiping City that took place between 1947 and 1948 between the Chinese Communist Party and the nationalist Kuomintang, which later became the government of Taiwan. And now this took place during the Chinese Civil War, which led to the CCP taking over China. A report from the state-run CGTN news outlet said that Xi, quote, relived the history of the revolution and paid his respects to the revolutionary martyrs. Now, to win the battle against nationalist forces that were deeply entrenched in the city, the CCP employed every method at its disposal and finally resorted to using waves of civilians as human shields. Reports had said the bodies of civilians piled until the Kuomintang couldn't stand to fight. Then when that took place, the CCP soldiers moved in and seized the city. Now at this memorial, Xi said, according to RFA, that the, quote, new China didn't come easily. He said, quote, we must defend the great cause of socialism created by the Communist Party of China. And also said that the CCP should be passed on, quote, from generation to generation. Now what does this mean? Pressure against the Chinese Communist Party is coming from other countries, from internal party factions, and from the Chinese people themselves. The CCP is under assault from all directions right now. Now, in context of this, when Xi made the statement that, quote, we must defend the great cause of socialism in relation to visiting this battle site, what is he saying? He's suggesting that there's a battle for the future of the CCP when it comes to its socialist system. He's saying we must defend the great cause of socialism. And what must it defend against? Well, again, the CCP is facing pressure from many different directions. When it comes to defending the cause of socialism, as he describes it, coming from external systems, well, we could interpret this, for example, as being wolf warrior diplomacy, where it's fighting back on every single front using the most aggressive diplomatic means it can. It is using tit-for-tat retaliation, for example, like closing the U.S. consulate in response to the U.S. closing the Chinese consulate. Like, for example, fighting back against Australia using the exact same wording when Australia warned against travel to China and that people could face arrest. It is talking about fighting within the CCP itself. We talked about Xi Jinping, for example, using the word of political security, being a reference again to internal party fighting, fighting against different political factions that would risk his own hold on power within the CCP. It could, for example, be the Chinese Communist Party fighting against pushback from the Chinese people themselves, for example, like we saw in Hong Kong, where people were protesting for democracy, and the CCP basically did a hostile takeover of Hong Kong, using regulation to effectively end Hong Kong's autonomy. It could be different methods, for example, to push back against what the CCP would regard as, for example, separatist movements, like in Tibet and Xinjiang, where you have the Muslim Uyghurs, and in Taiwan, which is technically a separate country, but which the CCP would regard as part of China. And when Xi talks, for example, about reliving the, quote, history of the revolution, what is he talking about? Reliving the history of the revolution. He's talking about reviving, very likely, these exact same measures and that exact same spirit. And this is concerning. Now, you might remember some of what we reported previously, that there are hard-line factions within the CCP, some of which are pushing for pretty extreme measures when dealing with all these different forms of pressure. One of the proposals that is on the table, and there has been some reporting on it in China, is, for example, to basically close down China again. Close China's borders, basically backtrack everything that had been done under Deng Xiaoping, one of the former leaders of the CCP, who did the reforms and opening up of the CCP. In other words, closing down China from the rest of the world, closing its borders, locking things down, and basically holding a second cultural revolution to reestablish the power of the CCP. She is talking about reliving the history of revolution, and that has connotations within that. And also this battle ties into the CCP's history of using any means it can to win. And this is especially relevant now the future of the party is on the line. Now, for example, in that battle, the Chinese Communist Party, when it was facing defeat, resorted to using civilians as human shields, waves of civilians as human shields. And in context of this, the Chinese Communist Party now would very likely also use any means necessary to keep its hold on power. Now, does that mean persecuting the Chinese people even more so? Well, they're showing signs of that already with different methods like, for example, the social credit system, with different abuses, for example, like what it's doing in Hong Kong, and with its different crackdowns on human rights in many parts of China. The CCP is becoming more authoritarian, not less authoritarian. When it comes to its external methods, for example, the CCP may also, say, up the ante when it comes to unrestricted warfare, using its different forms of unconventional warfare to even greater extents. And when it comes to, say, fighting the revolution within its own ranks, Xi Jinping is already again talking about different methodologies of political security. This could lead, for example, to purges within his own party. And now with that said, again, this is just my own analysis on this issue, and we'll have to see how things play out. With that said, of course, we'll be following this as it develops.
Well, if that doesn't unnerve a lot of people, I don't know what will. I watched another article today where there's two very senior generals that have written public statements warning their chairman that his continued posturing will be dealt with by the Chinese People's Liberation Army if he continues. But is it really that bad? Okay. On the 15th of June this year, the Chinese and Indian armies clashed in the Galwan Valley. And if you look up on Google Earth where the Galwan Valley is, it's mountainous. And it's actually not even the Chinese border. It's close to the border of a part of Kashmir that China invaded in the 60s when they took over Tibet. So they're just trying to expand the border a bit, and the Indian Army went, nope, that's it, we've had enough of this. It resulted in a number of Chinese and Indian casualties. The Chinese government has never acknowledged the number of casualties. Chris has just said he thinks it was 12 Indian casualties. All of the Indian casualties were taken back. They were given military funerals, acknowledged. Their families were rewarded, all that sort of stuff. But nothing has been spoken about in China. And this is a statement about what's going on. After the Galwan Valley bloodshed, Jian Li Yang, I'm good at this Chinese, a Chinese dissident and the son of a former Chinese Communist Party leader, wrote, "Retired and hurt PLA veterans could become a force against the Chinese Communist Party regime. The CCP leadership cannot afford to undermine the veterans' potential to launch a collective and armed anti-regime action." This is very, very disturbing. In the article I followed today, the commentator talked about and had pictures of the two generals that have said enough's enough. China is becoming a pariah in the world. If they continue, the Americans will put all sorts of sanctions on them. If they continue to aggravate everybody, they're going to become a pariah, and that it will only hurt China. Their military are starting to say this is ridiculous. We should be looking after the people, not making it worse for them. And there was a whole nother story about the Mekong River Delta, how the Chinese have dammed the river. And so there's big chunks of the Mekong River that has no water in it today. That's disturbing. So that's why it's so bad for us to get our head around. Now, why is all that impacting on us that are on this call? Well, gold is the currency of last resort, particularly in an environment where the governments are printing money and that there's all this insecurity around, interest rates are low. It's just amazing that there are now real concerns around the US currency. So be aware, not afraid. We got gold, baby. Here's a snippet today from an ANZ analyst talking about gold is in a perfect position to continue to move higher. because the banks are pushing for liquidity amid everything that's going on in the world with the Heineken flu. And the safe haven demand for gold has been rising while there is none for the US dollar anymore. That is a quantum shift in monetary policy around the world. Why is that important to us? Because our Karatbars gold system is perfectly suited to help us maintain our buying power in a collapsing financial environment. Be aware, not afraid, because we got gold, baby. Don't count us out. Welcome, you tinfoil hat wearing aficionados. Don't panic, Jonesy, because we got gold. Make sure you remember that. Let's have a look at the gold price. Wow, it's a miserable 483% return over 20 years. That's appalling, isn't it? 27.48% annual return. Watch this space for the breakout, because this breakout is happening today. It is going to continue like this, ladies and gentlemen. With all these people that are throwing rocks at each other around the world, gold will continue to go up. It has not quite hit $2,000 an ounce US. It's real close. But that is a record high in Australian dollars. That's a 30-year graph. How can you argue with that? That is amazing. So look out, get on your 90-day plan. The goal is to build your business and support one another. Have some commitment. Get back to the basics of why you got involved, why you want to do this. Understand what the gold business can do for you. It's simple. Write down your goals, fill out the form, contact as many people as you can a day. Just make sure that every single day you do it. And when I say you do it, do something to move your business forward. Doesn't matter if it's a small thing. Do something every day to make it go forward. Push it a little bit further. And make sure that you get somebody to look at a presentation. Just do it. Carolyn just said she filled out the form over the weekend. Well done. Brent's saying, how can you believe anything from the CCP? Well, I think there's some things you can believe. When they say they don't care about shooting back, they mean it. Get plugged into everything you can. Learn about the new packages. We should have the new Evo packs this week. Our new wallet should be in place this week. The great thing about the new wallet is it will handle the V999 coins and our payment system. Register at Gold Rocks. Get yourself a Gold Rocks link. Follow the social media accounts. We're investigating that at the moment. We may be changing what we're doing with the social media platforms. Connect to the Facebook group and get going. Just get going. That's all we need to do. Get your new Karatbars members into the Gold Rocks team. Make sure that they understand where it is. Send them a link so that you can refer them to that. And that's what the page looks like. When they open their email, they'll confirm the subscription. They're automatically added to the Gold Rocks email list, and they get the thanks for subscribing email. Make sure that they get onto the webinars. Make sure that they get to keep up. Make sure they stay informed. Just do everything you can to get yourself a handful of information. There are some of us in the Brains Trust here that go to extraordinary lengths to find out information. Extraordinary lengths. And sometimes I got sent an email on the weekend that said, the information you keep asking about is in the website, in the Karatbars website. No, it's not. So we work very hard to find out what's going on for everybody. We work particularly hard at it. Let's just make sure that we understand where we're all going. It's a wonderful opportunity we've got our hands on. And Harry, we're looking at doing some different things with it. So couple of date claimers. Don't forget, Saturday the 31st of October, Sunday the 16th of August, Sumner Park, Sunday the 23rd, the Gold Coast. Now, be aware, this is all dependent on us being able to hold a meeting. And we do now have a COVID plan. So when you come to a meeting, you will be required to fill out who you are, your cousin's name, your girlfriend's name, your sister's address, all that sort of stuff that they normally ask you. Well, actually, it's not that bad. We need a contact number and email to get in touch if something happens. It is now becoming a requirement to have all of that stuff. Mr. McCloskey wants to put a wine list on that sign-in sheet so you can tick the box of the wine that you're going to leave behind. Okay. Has anybody got any questions? Because that's it from me tonight. You can unmute, type, all that sort of stuff. Unmute's easier because you can talk. I'm a slow typist.
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Dobson.
Just a quick one. Brilliant call tonight. Fantastic. Latest news. I just wanted to go through. Hopefully, you touched on it at the end of the presentation. We will be able to talk next week and next Monday's call about the new wallet, the payment card. We saw that in the latest news. Also, the Evo packs, the trading, and a little bit more on the V999. I know a lot of us have got cash gold there. We're just waiting to purchase some of this coin and see that roll out. So we didn't bring anything to you tonight, but next Monday, let's do a fairly thorough run through on that. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
Great
As soon as we actually get information to hand, we'll be able to do that. Shane, the meeting at the Gold Coast is at the, let me just open that. I'll be able to read it to you, given that I'm an awful typist. Maybe I'll go down here.
Derek,
Yes.
did you get any updates about the MasterCard? So the card that we have is no longer valid. We can't use it. Is that correct? Or so we throw that one in the garbage. What was the outcome as far as replacement or a refund on if people have just purchased that?
We will have an update on that in the next couple of days. It will be in the website this week, and you can set it up a virtual card on your phone. So it works just like an electronic digital FPOS card. Or for €6, they'll mail you a new card.
€6, okay.
Yep. Much more reasonable this time.
You think? Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I was doing. Opening up the address here on the one at the Gold Coast. It's at the Lone Star Tavern. Shane, Mark Carey Street and Sunshine Boulevard, Mermaid Waters. Louise, you're in Malaysia. You're not supposed to know where Australian pubs are.
I do know where that one is. That's quite nice.
It is.
I'm feeling a little isolated. Just let me have my phone.
Okay. Shane, if you send me an email to derek@goldrocks.me, I will shoot you this invitation. Any other questions? Did I miss one in the chat? Yes, Harry saying make sure you get your Binance account signed up. It does take a little bit of time. Are you available for 5 minutes after the call? Yep, sure, Phil. Link to last week's corporate call we haven't seen yet, Brad. We hopefully will get more information going forward now that we're starting to get a few things come through. So that's it from me this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. We love doing this when we get some cooperation, some feedback, people asking questions. Thanks for everybody for coming. We will see you on the golden beaches of the world.